welcome back to our channel. In the world of coin collecting, there are certain coins that transcend their face value, becoming more than just pieces of currency. These coins are steeped in history, shaped by the hands of mint workers, and often carry a unique set of circumstances that make them extraordinary in the eyes of collectors. Among these iconic coins is the 1960 US 1 dime, a coin that holds a special place in numismatic history. The 1960 dime might seem like a simple, everyday coin. After all, it's been in circulation for decades, used by countless individuals to make small purchases. But this particular dime, minted during a time of great social and political change in the United States, holds secrets and stories that make it a prized collectible. From its historical context to its design, minting anomalies, and rarity, the 1960 dime is far from ordinary. For those who understand the significance of this seemingly humble coin, its value extends well beyond its face value of 10 cents. To truly appreciate the 1960 dime, we need to understand the historical context surrounding its production. The 1960s were a time of transformation in the United States. The country was in the midst of a post-war economic boom, with industry, technology, and consumerism rapidly expanding. But alongside this prosperity, there were deep social and political shifts. The civil rights movement was gaining momentum, and the nation was on the brink of monumental change. The 1960 dime, struck in the same year that John F. Kennedy was elected president, carries with it the weight of this transformative period in American history. The design of the 1960 dime is, of course, based on the classic design introduced in 1946 by the U.S. Mint. The obverse of the dime features a striking image of Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States. Roosevelt, who led the nation through the Great Depression and World War II, had passed away in 1945, and the dime was designed as a tribute to his leadership. The reverse of the coin showcases a torch, olive branch, and oak branch, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. The design is elegant and simple, with a clear focus on conveying strength and unity. While the 1960 dime bears the same design that had been in circulation for over a decade, the year 1960 was marked by a significant change in the way the coin was minted. In that year, the U.S. Mint introduced a new method of striking coins, which would ultimately lead to the creation of some rare and highly sought-after varieties. It's within this shift that the 1960 dime truly begins to reveal its value to collectors. One of the most notable features of the 1960 dime is the introduction of a minting error that would become a key point of interest for coin collectors: the small date and large date varieties. These two different versions of the 1960 dime came about as a result of a change in the size of the numbers on the coin's date. The small date variety, which has a slightly smaller and more compact date, was produced in large quantities, while the large date variety, which features a more expansive and pronounced date, was far rarer. The two varieties of the 1960 dime are highly coveted by collectors, and their difference in rarity has a significant impact on their value. The minting process in 1960 also contributed to the creation of other variations in the dime's design. Coins were struck at three primary U.S. mint facilities: the Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint. Each of these mints had its own distinct characteristics in terms of how the coins were produced. While the 1960 dime was produced in large quantities, the differences in minting methods, die wear, and other factors resulted in subtle variations that further increased the desirability of these coins. In particular, the 1960 Philadelphia Mint dimes are considered to be among the most highly sought-after examples. These dimes, which were struck without a mint mark, were produced in greater numbers than the Denver and San Francisco coins, yet they hold a special place in collectors' hearts due to their pristine condition and the rarity of some of the smaller details that were introduced in 1960. The 1960 dime's appeal also extends beyond the rare, small date, and large date varieties. Over the years, collectors have discovered additional factors that influence the value of the coin, such as the presence of certain die markings or errors in the minting process. One of the most interesting and rare varieties of the 1960 dime is the double die error, which occurs when a coin's design is struck multiple times, causing the image to appear doubled or misaligned. While double die errors are not unique to the 1960 dime, the rarity and significance of such an error on a coin that is already highly sought after makes the 1960 dime even more valuable. The world of coin collecting is full of enthusiasts who spend years hunting for these rare and valuable coins, and the 1960 dime is no exception. For collectors, the search for these coins is about more than just monetary value. It's about the thrill of discovery, the joy of finding a piece of history that has been hidden away for decades. Whether it's the large and small date varieties, the double die errors, or simply a well-preserved example of a coin that has endured the test of time, the 1960 dime represents an opportunity to own a piece of American history. And now, for the moment that all collectors and numismatists have been waiting for, the value of the 1960 dime. While most of these coins remain at or near their face value of 10 cents, some of the rarer versions of the 1960 dime can fetch extraordinary sums. A well-preserved, small-date variety can be worth hundreds of dollars, especially if it is in uncirculated condition. Meanwhile, the rarer, large-date variety can sometimes command prices in the thousands of dollars, with some examples being sold for as much as $10,000 at auctions. However, the true jackpot for collectors lies in the incredibly rare and elusive examples of the 1960 dime with significant minting errors. Some of these error coins, such as those with double die varieties, have been known to sell for tens of thousands of dollars. In fact, the most remarkable and rare examples of the 1960 dime have been known to reach values as high as $145,000. This is no ordinary dime. It is a coin that holds a special place in the hearts of collectors and represents a true gem in the world of numismatics. The value of the 1960 dime is a testament to the fascinating world of coin collecting, where history, design, rarity, and the excitement of discovery all come together. So, the next time you find yourself holding a 1960 dime, take a moment to appreciate its history and the incredible value it could hold. Whether it's a small date, a large date, or an error variety, this little coin could be worth far more than you ever imagined. The story of the 1995 dime begins like many other coins, with its design, simple yet meaningful. The U.S. dime has seen various designs over its long history, but it was the introduction of Franklin D. Roosevelt's image on the coin in 1946 that gave it lasting significance. Designed by John R. Sinek, the Roosevelt dime was meant as a tribute to the late president, whose leadership during the Great Depression and World War II was integral to the history of the United States. Roosevelt's image on the dime was not just a reminder of his impact, but also a lasting symbol of the country's strength, resilience, and commitment to social justice. The reverse side of the 1995 dime, like its predecessors, features a torch, olive branch, and oak branch. These elements, the torch of liberty, the olive branch of peace, and the oak branch of strength, are a timeless representation of the core values of the United States. Together, they communicate the ideals of freedom, unity, and fortitude that the U.S. has aspired to uphold throughout its history. Though the design of the 1995 dime may seem familiar to anyone who has handled U.S. currency, it was not without its own set of challenges and changes. The year 1995 marked the tail end of a century that had seen significant advancements in technology, economics, and culture. The world was undergoing rapid globalization, with the internet beginning to reshape communication, business, and entertainment. In the U.S., the economy was in the midst of a robust recovery following the recession of the early 1990s, driven by new technologies and a booming stock market. While the country was experiencing growth and prosperity, there was also a sense of unease, as many Americans were grappling with the rapid pace of change. In this climate, the 1995 dime was minted, circulating in everyday transactions and silently reflecting the time in which it was produced. Yet, unbeknownst to most, the 1995 dime would go on to garner attention from the world of collectors. For many, the excitement surrounding the coin stemmed from the variety of small details that make certain coins rare or valuable. Like other coins that had come before it, the 1995 dime was struck at multiple U.S. mint facilities, including the Philadelphia and Denver mints. These mints were responsible for producing the bulk of the coins that would make their way into circulation, but not all coins were created equal. Sometimes, due to imperfections in the minting process or slight variations in the dies used to strike the coins, some dimes would be produced with small errors that would make them more valuable to collectors. One of the most intriguing aspects of the 1995 dime lies in the errors and varieties that emerged from the minting process. Collectors and numismatists have long been fascinated by these imperfections, as they often indicate a rare or unusual coin. In the case of the 1995 dime, one of the most sought-after variations is the double die variety. A double die error occurs when a coin is struck multiple times, causing the design to appear doubled or misaligned. This type of error is relatively rare, and the 1995 double die dime quickly became a sought-after prize in the world of coin collecting. To the untrained eye, a 1995 dime might appear to be just another coin in the pocket. But to the discerning collector, a double die error can make a significant difference in the coin's value. While most 1995 dimes are worth only 10 cents, those with the double die error can command much higher prices, sometimes reaching hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on their condition and rarity. The minting process in 1995 also introduced other factors that affected the value of the coin. For example, the U.S. Mint had begun experimenting with new methods of striking coins during this time. These innovations, intended to improve efficiency and reduce production costs, resulted in coins that sometimes had subtle differences in quality. Some 1995 dimes, particularly those struck at the Philadelphia Mint, were produced with slightly different die characteristics that made them more desirable to collectors. As coin collectors continued to explore the 1995 dime, other rare varieties began to surface. Some of these varieties involved unique die markings, while others were caused by slight changes in the design that were introduced in the minting process. These variations may have been small, but to collectors, they represented significant opportunities to acquire a rare piece of American history. The appeal of the 1995 dime is not just about its design or its minting errors. It's also about the sense of connection that collectors feel when they handle these coins. Each coin has a story to tell, a tale of the people who created it, the time period in which it was minted, and the millions of hands it passed through before it made its way into the hands of a collector. For some, collecting coins is a way to preserve history and to hold on to a tangible piece of the past. For others, it's a passion that is fueled by the thrill of finding rare and valuable pieces that might one day be worth far more than their original face value. Now, let's turn our attention to the most exciting part of this story, the value of the 1995 dime. Most people would assume that a dime, a coin with a face value of just 10 cents, would remain relatively low in value throughout its life. However, as we've seen, the world of coin collecting is full of surprises. While most 1995 dimes are worth only their face value, certain examples of the coin have reached impressive figures in the market. The most valuable examples of the 1995 dime are those that feature minting errors or rare varieties. For instance, a well-preserved double die error 1995 dime can fetch tens of thousands of dollars, depending on its condition and the rarity of the error. Some of the most exceptional specimens have been sold for as much as $114,000 at auctions, a testament to the incredible value that can be hidden in even the most ordinary of coins. To some, it may seem unbelievable that a coin with a face value of just 10 cents can be worth so much. But in the world of numismatics, value is determined by rarity, condition, and demand, and the 1995 dime, with its subtle minting errors and fascinating history, has proven to be a highly sought-after coin. Whether it's the double die variety, unique die markings, or the allure of owning a piece of U.S. history, the 1995 dime has become a prized collectible for those who know how to spot its potential. So, the next time you find a 1995 dime in your pocket, take a moment to appreciate the hidden story it may hold. It's not just a simple coin, it's a treasure that carries with it a fascinating history and the possibility of becoming something much more valuable. With the right set of circumstances, that ordinary dime could be worth far more than you ever imagined. And who knows? Perhaps you'll be lucky enough to find one of these rare and valuable dimes, and with it, a slice of American history. The 1985 dime, though it may appear as just another coin in the U.S. Mint's production line, holds historical and numismatic value that surprises many collectors. To fully appreciate its significance, we need to take a step back and examine the coin's context, both from a historical perspective and within the evolution of the coin itself. The United States in 1985 was in the midst of a rapidly changing economic landscape. Ronald Reagan was in the midst of his second term as president, and the country was recovering from the recessions of the early 1980s. With a growing economy and a shift in technological innovation, 1985 was also a time of cultural transformation, from the rise of the personal computer to the booming music industry and the explosive popularity of films like Back to the Future. But what does all this have to do with a small dime? The answer lies in the nuances of the coin's design and production. Though the design of the U.S. dime had remained largely unchanged for many years, the 1985 coin is a symbol of both continuity and subtle change. The dime, first introduced in 1796, had undergone several design changes over the centuries, but since 1946, the coin had featured the portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States. Roosevelt's image had been chosen for the dime because of his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II, as well as his role in founding the March of Dimes campaign to fight polio. The 1985 dime continued to carry Roosevelt's image on the obverse, the front, of the coin. His portrait, created by artist John R. Sinek, remains one of the most enduring designs in American coinage. Roosevelt's likeness is calm, dignified, and commanding, perfectly representing the statesman and symbolizing his leadership during a time of crisis. The reverse side of the 1985 dime features the traditional design by Sinek as well, showcasing a torch, an olive branch, and an oak branch. The torch symbolizes liberty, the olive branch signifies peace, and the oak branch represents strength. These elements together convey the ideals of freedom, peace, and resilience, values that were ever present in American society. However, while the 1985 dime was relatively unremarkable in terms of its overall design, there was something unique about its production that caught the eye of collectors. Coins, especially those that are mass-produced, can have minor imperfections and variations. The 1985 dime, like many other coins, was struck at multiple U.S. mint facilities, including the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. Most of the time, coins from these mints would be similar to each other, but over time, collectors began to notice small differences in minting quality and subtle variations in the dies used to strike the coins. These differences, which could be caused by anything from minor flaws in the die to changes in the pressure during the striking process, resulted in what are known as error coins, or varieties. The 1985 dime is one such coin that features a variety of these subtle minting errors that would go unnoticed by most people. Some of the 1985 dimes were struck with what is called a die crack, a small fissure that forms in the die used to strike the coin. The crack can appear as a thin line, often running through the design, sometimes giving the coin a slightly damaged or imperfect appearance. To the untrained eye, these coins may look like standard dimes, but to a collector, the die cracks can add significant value to the coin. Another fascinating detail about the 1985 dime involves the quality of the coins produced at different mints. While the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint produced a large number of dimes in 1985, the coins struck at the San Francisco Mint were reserved for proof coins, which were specially produced for collectors. These proof coins are known for their high-quality finish, smooth and shiny surfaces, and exceptional detail. The 1985 proof dimes are highly prized by collectors, not just because of their beauty, but because of their limited mintage. Each year, only a small number of proof coins are minted, making them more scarce and sought after by numismatists. Beyond the minting process, the 1985 dime also reflects a specific period in American coinage. The U.S. Mint had been grappling with inflationary pressures and rising production costs in the 1980s, which meant that coins like the dime were becoming more expensive to produce. In fact, the Mint's production of dimes was closely tied to the larger economic environment of the time. As the U.S. economy grew and the demand for small change increased, more and more of these dimes were made to circulate in everyday commerce. For collectors, the 1985 dime stands out not only because of its design and minting errors but because of the broader context in which it was produced. It offers a snapshot of a moment in American history, caught between the end of the 1970s economic troubles and the growth of the 1980s. But what about its value? While most 1985 dimes are worth only 10 cents, certain varieties and error coins have become quite valuable to collectors. Over the years, certain examples of the 1985 dime, particularly those with die cracks, double die varieties, or minting flaws, have garnered attention in the numismatic community. The real prize for collectors comes in the form of high-grade coins. As time passes, coins that were once circulated, handled, and spent begin to disappear from circulation. Coins that were kept in pristine condition, free from the usual wear and tear, become much rarer. The 1985 dime, like many modern coins, is often found in circulation with signs of wear. However, the pristine examples, those that have been carefully preserved or kept in mint state, have the potential to fetch significant prices on the market. And now, let's get to the real value that everyone has been waiting for, the 1985 dime's current worth. It's important to note that the value of most 1985 dimes is quite modest, just 10 cents. But for the rarer, high-quality versions or those with minting errors, the story changes dramatically. Some of these coins, especially the rare die cracks and double die varieties, can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on their condition and rarity. However, the highest value for an extraordinary example of the 1985 dime has been recorded at a staggering $122,000. This rare and coveted example of the 1985 dime, likely featuring an extremely unique minting error or having been preserved in impeccable condition, became a sensation in the numismatic world when it was auctioned off for such a remarkable price. This example is a shining illustration of how even the most seemingly ordinary coins can become immensely valuable, proving once again that in the world of coin collecting, rarity, quality, and historical significance can result in extraordinary prices. For collectors and numismatists, the 1985 dime is a prime example of the value that can be hidden in plain sight. What started as a simple, everyday coin has now become a prized collectible, sought after by those who understand its worth. Whether you're a seasoned coin collector or someone who has just started to explore the world of numismatics, the 1985 dime is a perfect reminder that value in the world of coins is often more than just face value. It's a reflection of history, rarity, and the stories each coin carries with it.